It is week 3. The rankings are up everywhere. We're going to talk about some lineup decisions for you. I've got my good friend Andy Behrens from The Deep Shot joining us right now. Andy, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. As you know, being a multi-sport fantasy expert, these are tough days because we're trying to land the plane in fantasy baseball, and we're trying to learn an entirely new fantasy football landscape. It's tough. I need this baseball season to end. I need it so bad.
I'm so hip to that. I am so hip to that. Although I went to the Dodgers game last night, saw Shohei pitch and hit a homer. Life is good there. I mean, even though I'm a Reds fan, and hey, Reds won today at least, but you know what? Hey, meaningful but painful baseball in September is better than not meaningful baseball in September. And that same is true with our fantasy leagues, even when it doesn't end right there. I'm with you on that. I need the work of fantasy baseball to end. Let's put it that way there. That's exactly what I need. As much as I like a month from now, I'm going to be like, man, I want to start up a baseball podcast. Oh, wait. Just remember, remember how busy you've been the last 3 months. Just remember that. Just remember that a little bit there. It's quarterback carnage week. So we'll talk a lot about that. But before we do that, you've got a new venture going on here. Adventure or venture, either way you do it. You and Dalton Del Don launched The Deep Shot. You do a podcast with Chris Harris. I've seen you write in a few places, but your big thing is The Deep Shot. Tell everybody what they can expect when they go there.
Yeah, thank you. Adventure isn't wrong. It has been an absolute adventure, and this, it is all born out of basically wanting to, I want to keep covering the NFL, and I want to do it with some of my closest friends in the industry, right? So it was a pretty easy decision to partner with Dalton and to find a home for all of our written content. And really, the thing that I have most enjoyed about it is, we were talking a little bit off pod about this. It's all the stuff that I really enjoyed writing, plus a few other goodies, and none of the stuff that I didn't necessarily enjoy writing. So, preseason this year, did I write a single piece that was like a long list of names who are going to smash at their 80? No, I didn't do any of that. That's not, I'm probably done with that portion of my fantasy writing career. It's been more thoughtful stuff. It's all the stuff that I enjoyed. So that's been great. And then on the podcast side, I'm doing a weekly subscription podcast with Chris Harris called The Yacht Club. That's been really fun. Chris is one of my oldest friends, like predating either of our fantasy careers. I've known Chris for a really long time, and there's nobody that I enjoy arguing with more than Chris Harris. So getting to do it once a week has been an absolute delight. And it's one of those things.
Argue. I don't know what you're talking about there.
It's really all you can do with Chris, right? Every conversation becomes an argument at some level. It's just a question of how contentious. But that's been awesome. It's been really fun, and it's the kind of like combo platter where if you subscribe to this thing over here, you get this other thing over here. So it's been great. I'm really enjoying it. Thank you.
You bet. And again, the website is thedeepshot.com. Go check it out. Andy and Dalton are doing everything, and Dalton. Everybody knows the RotoWire history knows Dalton too. So he does great work as well. So it's gonna be fantastic there.
The fun thing about Dalton is, and I was just commenting on this, looking at his ranks this week when I was building the rankings post. Man, there's no, where Dalton stands on a player. He's not hedgy in his ranks. He's not, if he likes a guy or if he dislikes a guy, he's nowhere close to industry consensus. It shows, and I have always appreciated that about him.
Exactly, that is all true, and not only that, but also. It comes to how he plays the game at the draft table, how he plays the game in Fab. It's all gas, no brakes, and I love that about Dalton.
That is so true. That is so true. That is entirely true.
Yes. So let's talk about this week. It's quarterback carnage week, and unfortunately, as Jeff, Bengals fan, knows this all too well. We'll start off with Joe Burrow. Out for another 3 months effectively for the season, and redraft leagues, it's cut time, unfortunately. About Jake Browning, what are your expectations for him going forward?
Yeah, the first thing I'll say about Browning is, one of the things that I continue to write at the Deep Shot is waiver wire recommendations, which was one of my favorite pieces to produce in the Yahoo days. And I had to officially, you got to come up with a fab recommendation. And so officially, I wasn't telling people that they should go ahead and empty the wallet on Jake Browning. But you also had to acknowledge that in a Superflex league, somebody is definitely going to empty the wallet on Jake Browning, because it's the quarterback who gets to throw to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He is suddenly available, and we pretty much know that barring injury, he's going to have this job until we get deep into the fantasy playoffs. So effectively the rest of your fantasy season. And that's how it went. In every Superflex league I have, somebody spent it all to get Jake Browning. And if you were the guy with Joe Burrow and you only had like $98 to spend, you didn't get him, which is kind of crazy, because he is also just Jake Browning. And he had a couple really regrettable throws in the Jacksonville game, and that was a very winnable game for Jacksonville, and they didn't get it. But Browning landed the plane, and we have proof of concept on what it looks like when he's at the controls. Got it a couple years ago, and I'm not going to say it was flawless. And I think you obviously have to look at, if you're tied to Higgins, you're tied to Chase. You have to look at that and say, okay, Jamar Chase is probably not winning the receiving Triple Crown this year. And whatever you thought the ceiling was for Jamar Chase, it's a little bit less. Can he still be the wide receiver one? I wouldn't rule it out. But it changes the ceiling for some of those guys. But, can Jake Browning be a guy who throws for 270 yards and 2 touchdowns in any given week? Yeah, we've seen it. He's done it. And that's not nothing. If you're in a Superflex league, that means a lot. When he gets good matchups in single quarterback leagues, he's going to be a playable option. Because again, this receiving core is great. And the full argument that you would have made for Joe Burrow in the preseason about how they're going to have to basically keep the pedal to the floor all year, yeah, that now applies to Jake Browning.
Yeah, and I forget which leagues I'm in with you that are Superflex leagues. I know there's at least one. I'm pretty sure.
Vegas league.
Yeah, and Coventry emptied the wallet of all people. Coventry did it to me there. I bid like 9. I in one of my Superflex leagues, I have both Burrow and JJ McCarthy. That was fun. And DVR's Pentathlon auction league, where I'm this just stupid how that worked out there. But I think I got both him and Wentz though. No, maybe not that league. It's a different league. I can't keep my league straight. I have 5 Burrow shares and I have like 5 McCarthy shares, and 2 of them are kind of, but one of them is both of those. I think it's Pentathlon where I have both, which is great. But in the Vegas league, I did not get him. Instead, I got Mariota, and I'm hoping the reports that Daniels doesn't play this week are true. Someone,
no, we can't have that, Jeff. I'm sorry, we can't have that.
Oh, I know, can't have nice things. The thing is, I have Daniels in some places too, so it's like, okay, I'm rooting for one thing that'll screw me in another, but it'll screw me a little less in that one, so I'll go that way. But yeah, it's crazy there.
It's also crazy that we came into this season, and I feel like every time I talked in the preseason, I was telling people, hey, you don't have to worry about quarterback in single quarterback leagues, because I like the QB7 just about as much as I like the QB18, and it's as deep as I can ever remember it. And we're 3 weeks in, and it's not deep anymore.
And the QB29 is the second best quarterback in the league right now, too, in Daniel Jones. So, right. Okay. Go pick up Daniel Jones if you can. Even though I feel like it's falling for that banana in the tailpipe, I'm still going to say pick him up. I don't know. It's just 3 rushing touchdowns. He's averaging over 9 yards per attempt. He did it against Denver. Okay, he goes on the road now. It's different maybe, but I still think he'll be better than any of those other options this week, at least. But over Browning, over Wentz, over Mariota, I think this is the case, but I'm not really pounding the table for it, but I think that'd be my preference to pick him up first. How about you?
It was a big eye opener that he had that day against Denver. And I'll also say, and this is, I don't mean this as shade toward Daniel Jones, who's playing well. I love the design of that offense, and I love some of the things that they're doing. That, the big play to Tyler Warren that they had, where like they line Warren up as a fullback, and it looks like he's going to be a lead blocker, and it's play action, and then all of a sudden he leaks out and he's almost 40 yards downfield. Like the stuff they are designing for him is great. Josh Downs back in the mix last week, and they're scheming him wide open all the time. This is not one of those teams where you're commonly seeing 2 receivers in the camera frame simultaneously arriving at the ball at the same time. Like this is a well-designed offense, and Daniel Jones is running it well. He's missed a few throws. He's Daniel Jones, whatever, and it hasn't burned him yet. But the rushing juice matters. It matters a lot, and that's not something that we're going to get from Jake Browning. It's not something we're going to get from Mac Jones or some of these other rogues that are out there right now. And listen, if he's going to keep playing this well, if he's going to play 90% of this level, 80% of this level, then he is going to keep the job for the full year. And he's going to be a huge success story.
So short answer is I pick up Jones, and Michael Penix is available in a bunch of leagues too. And he gets Carolina this week. I think that if you're trying to weather the storm for 1 week, I think, well, in a single quarterback league, I think both of those are fine options. Deeper leagues, of the newly minted quarterbacks this week, of Browning, Wentz, Mariota, Tyrod Taylor, who do you got?
It's such a leap of faith with Carson Wentz.
It really is, isn't it?
He has the best matchup, right? Right. Like, I mean, he has the best matchup and maybe the best matchup by far. So it's probably Wentz. And if I'm going to say of Jake Browning, hey, he's the guy who gets to throw to Jamar Chase, well, then I should probably feel good about the guy who gets to throw to Justin Jefferson too. And, if this is going to be multiple weeks, he's also going to get Jordan Addison back. And I still think TJ Hawkinson has a little something left to give. So it is a good receiving room. It's probably Carson Wentz, with the huge caveat that it is also Carson Wentz, and he could throw 3 interceptions in this game, and he could just be an absolute dog. That is on the table. The full range of outcomes is on the table, but at the high end, it's pretty good.
His last good game, we were talking about this, Nick Whalen and I were talking about this on Sirius XM. Wentz's last good game was 2022, when he was a starter for the Commanders.
I mean, 6 teams in 6 different seasons as a quarterback is crazy.
That's not an endorsement.
Right. That's the thing, that we're not talking about that enough. Like, this is 5 different teams that have said, hey, thank you very much, Carson Wentz, but we're good. We're good at backup quarterback. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly there. But man, it is such a choice matchup against the Bengals, who are missing their first round pick, Shamar Stewart. Also, he won't play in this one. Not that Stewart has been racking up the sacks, because he didn't even do that in college. Still, you see, but he's there. He's present. That's good for the Bengals. Unfortunately, just forcing a player to change directions is in and of itself better than what they've been getting, which is a sad commentary. Self-hating Bengals fan that I am here. Henry says people talked about Darnold the same way. Wentz will be good in Minnesota. Maybe true. Keep in mind, no Christian Darrisaw most likely for the 3rd week in a row. Their center is going through the concussion protocol. Darrisaw's backup left tackle is also going through the concussion protocol. And no Jordan Addison for 1 more week. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, this would be an all-time reclamation project for KOC if this actually happens and Carson Wentz is a thing. And then, of course, if he's a thing, we were probably only 1 more bad half of football from JJ McCarthy from talking about exactly how soon somebody else could take over and who that person might be. So if he strings together a couple of good games, and I want to say, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but I want to say that beyond the Cincinnati game, it gets rough. It's like Pittsburgh and Cleveland, and
both of those in Europe, by the way.
Yeah. So it gets, it's going to get a little dicey, but it is entirely possible if he's competent through these games and it's a functional passing offense that we're all of a sudden talking about Carson Wentz as the quarterback there indefinitely.
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, bye week, Philly. That's their schedule coming back. So I don't think we see McCarthy until week 7 at the earliest, is my bet. I'm not going to bet any real actual American dollars on that, but it's my withering reputation that I will at least put a little shekel on. At least they're saying that I think he doesn't play until then. Looking at the Washington Commanders situation here. Jaden Daniels didn't practice today. He won't practice tomorrow. He might practice Friday. He said his rehab went well. He did some throws, but I'm guessing he probably isn't starting this week either, is my guess. What say you about Marcus Mariota if he does get the start?
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they didn't protect Jaden Daniels from himself. I'm sure he's going to want to play. Mobility, obviously, a huge part of his game. So we want him fully operational before he takes the field again. I think Mariota's fine. I think he's fine. I don't think we're going to get some huge ceiling game out of him. He's got some rushing juice as well, which we care about. I think he can feed, if you've been relying on Deebo, I think he's the kind of quarterback who can feed Deebo in the area of the field in which Deebo operates. I think he's a fine fit for that. I don't hate it. I don't hate it as a if you're just too nervous to play Carson Wentz because it feels like almost anything can happen and he's an agent of chaos. I'm fine with Mariota, but he's also the kind of person that I don't see the ceiling as being extraordinary for Mariota. So I'd rather have Browning for ceiling. I'd probably rather have Wentz for ceiling, given who he's facing and who he's throwing to.
Makes sense. Makes a whole lot of sense. Okay, one more quarterback situation. Well, actually two, but the next one, the Jets. They've already announced no Justin Fields this week. Concussion. It's going to be Tyrod Taylor getting the start in Tampa Bay. I don't have good thoughts about this one here because I think the Jets offense is all predicated on the quarterback being mobile enough to be a threat to run. I don't think Taylor is it. I could be wrong about that. What say you?
I think ideal script for this game for the Jets, and they may not be able to pull it off, but ideal script would probably be they run the ball 40 or 45 times.
Yeah.
And it is not on the shoulders of Tyrod Taylor. I'd feel okay about Garrett Wilson in this one because I think he's a wonderful player, and I think he's the one guy who's going to get, if not peppered with targets, he's going to get enough targets to matter. I wouldn't, not that you were trusting any other Jets receivers necessarily anyway, but I wouldn't trust any of them, and I would not want to be in a situation in which I had to start Tyrod. I wouldn't do it outside of Superflex.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat there. It's a desperation play. It really is. Besides, running the ball 40 times at Vita Vea sounds like a real fun time. So I don't know if that's going to work out very well.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy had some limited activity in practice today. There's a chance he plays this week. I kind of had written him off already in my rankings. I had just buried him at the bottom, saying you probably won't play. They said 2 to 5 weeks. This is week 2. Okay, didn't seem, but there's a chance he might play now. I was off, some enterprising owner in the Hoover Flex Vegas League, whatever we're calling it there, offered me Mac Jones in a trade offer. I'm going to have to turn that down, but at the same time, I'm surprised actually that Purdy is going to play, but especially because they've got that 2-win buffer already.
Yeah, I'm surprised as well, but I'm glad of it because it's an uncomfortable thing. I'm starting Mac Jones in a couple leagues. I'm in the same boat as you, and I didn't even plug him into my ranks initially because I'd assumed at least a 2-week absence for Brock Purdy. That seemed consistent with the initial reporting. And Mac Jones was fine, right? Like Mac Jones was fine last week, and we've seen him. He's not spectacular, but we know that Kyle Shanahan has a little bit of a fondness for him, and he was perfectly fine. He was acceptable. Purdy better. I don't doubt that at all. But it is, as somebody who actually ended up with Purdy in a lot of places and a lot of best ball leagues as well, that might be doomed, but I have him nonetheless. I'm pretty excited about this.
Yeah, I am too. I have some Jennings. I have some Pearsall. Fortunately, I have some Kittle too, but a lot of, that one's hurting a little bit there.
Pearsall is one of my most heavily rostered players. I don't know how that's going to work out, but he's somebody that I was probably, 12 spots, 15 spots ahead of consensus on Ricky Pearsall. And it's not perfectly clear that he's going to end up as the guy that we ultimately call the Niners wide receiver 1 this season, but he's awfully close to it, and I think the world of his talent. I fully bought in on the final 2 weeks last year, so I'm pretty heavily invested there.
That was a FOMO until the very end of draft season guy for me, and then I got him in one league. And I just the price kept going up. And meanwhile, I bought early on Jennings and super late on Jennings when the price went way down. I got like a 9th round Jennings or something like that. I think Jennings is actually really good. It's just a question of could he be healthy? And he's had 3 different injuries now. He's got like an ankle this week. He's had the shoulder and he had the calf in training camp, which was also a contract. So it's hard to differentiate between the two, but yeah, when he's out there, he's a pretty good player. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what we can get out of him the rest of the way. This podcast is brought to you by the folks over at Vivid Seats. NFL is back. Don't just sit on the couch. Lock in your seat this season with the Vivid Seats app, where you'll score the lowest price tickets guaranteed. That's right. Vivid Seats is introducing their new lowest price guarantee, so you know that you're getting the best deal all season long. Seriously, trying to find a cheaper ticket, and good luck with that. Every rushing yard, red zone pass, and jaw-dropping play of your favorite team live and in person. And here's the kicker. When you buy with the Vivid Seats app, you rack up rewards and free credits. That's your personal home field advantage. And if that wasn't enough, Vivid Seats is offering you $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase with code ROTOWIRE. That's code ROTOWIRE, ROTOWIRE. So suit up this NFL season. Download the Vivid Seats app to get the best deal in the game with the best prices and enjoy. Terms apply. I know Vivid Seats works. I use it for baseball tickets. Unfortunately, I can't go to football games on Sundays. Not unfortunately. I enjoy what I do for a living, so don't feel sorry for me. But I get to go to baseball games, and I've been able to get that reward. I've been able to get Dodgers and Padres tickets, did a college tour with my daughter, got tickets in San Diego. It works great. So Vivid Seats, thank you for that. With Andy Behrens here from the Deep Shot, thedeepshot.com. Check it out. Andy, let's talk a little bit about running backs. It's rookie running back panic time right now. Every rookie running back, maybe short of Quinshon Judkins, was disappointing last week.
Yep.
Every single one of them. And we're getting a lot of I told you so's. I know we're friends with Chris Harris. We have to hear the lecture every time about rookie running backs with him. I will caution one thing. Rookies often start slow and get better over the course of the season. But it's a worrying time right now. Which of these elite rookies are you worried about the most?
Well, okay, I'd put some of them in different categories. First of all, Kaleb Johnson, who is one of my guys, and he'll never pay for a drink in Iowa City because the season that he's coming off at the college level was absolutely amazing. But I can't believe he's even going to be active for the Steelers this week. I mean, this is 2 gaffes in 2 consecutive games, and the one in week 2 probably lost them the game. So you can't let him return kicks anymore. And if you can't let him return kicks, what are we doing? He's probably not going to be active. Like, if you're going to be a depth chart running back, you better play special teams, and I don't think they trust him there. So he's, you can cut him in any, and like this is a huge Iowa fan telling you can go ahead and cut Kaleb Johnson. So you can definitely go ahead and cut Kaleb Johnson. And then we have this group where I think they're all maybe good, but TreyVeyon Henderson has a Ramondre Stevenson problem, and RJ Harvey has a real JK Dobbins problem, right? Like they have good people playing ahead of them, and Kaleb, even if he were playing well, would have a Warren problem because that guy had one of the plays of the year in week 2. Yep. Ramondre has really been I shouldn't say a revelation because we've seen Ramondre be really good. He's just a couple years removed from being a very good back. Last year, a huge disappointment. Man, he's getting yards beyond what is blocked for him. He's playing at a level that is more than like just a guy, and he's been great as a receiver. So on top of the pass protection problems that have popped up for TreyVeyon Henderson, and we always kind of knew that he was going to be a committee member, but a very explosive committee member. Now he's got a real problem with Stevenson because Stevenson is playing great. And I feel the same way about Dobbins. Dobbins is playing great. Dobbins played great last year. And I legitimately think, and this is a place where, I'm a little more bullish on some of the rookies than Chris is generally, but we agreed J.K. Dobbins should have been drafted ahead of R.J. Harvey, and it was a little bit of wish casting to have Harvey where I think he ended up in terms of ADP, because it was very clear that Dobbins was going to play. So those two have been good. They are a real problem. I also think that Omarion Hampton has a Najee Harris problem, but it's less. He's less daunting because I think Najee Harris is fine, and I think coaches really appreciate Najee Harris. I don't think that he's going to reach the level that we're already seeing Ramondre play at. So that might not be a thing. Now, my issue with Hampton is that it hasn't looked great. That is a guy that needs to come to a full stop before he can change direction. And you need pretty wide rushing lanes to make that work, and you need a particular style of offense. And he may get it. Like, this may all be fine, but he's maybe not the jittery, explosive player that you'd hoped you were drafting. He is a very specific kind of running back, and this might not be great. And then the fumble in week 2 was just a killer.
And getting stuffed at the goal line, because where you don't find wide open lanes is by the goal line. I think that's where he's going to run into problems. I think Najee Harris is going to be more frequently the goal line back going forward. I hope I'm wrong, but I only have one league with Hampton, but still, for that league's sake, I hope I'm wrong. And I hope for his sake I'm wrong, that he has more wiggle, because he had so many yards after contact at North Carolina. But you have to realize contact in the NFL is different than contact in college. And it's one of those things, lesson I always have to relearn, I feel like there too. So,
well, that's the big thing that like Ashton Jeanty is learning right now, right? Because in the Mountain West, you made one guy miss and you were gone. It was 60 yards. And in the NFL, you can make a guy miss, or you can bury him in the ground. Like he's had some really nice moments, but there's another guy waiting for you 2 yards later.
Yeah. And what I'm annoyed with Jeanty is the presence of Dylan Laub or Zamir White in passing downs. I don't need to see that Zamir White on my screen. I don't need that. No offense to him, but it's the thinnest, no offense, but I don't need to see that there. And but at the same time, Jeanty, I guess, was showing up and going in the wrong spot a couple of times in passing downs. That's going to lose you reps. I think they'll get him back. I think Henderson gets him back eventually too. But like you said, Stevenson's good. He was really good. And guess what? So was Antonio Gibson. That was the other problem, is that there is another. In the Kaleb Johnson case, this was something dating all the way back to camp. All my Pittsburgh peeps are saying, hey, Gainwell's looking better than Johnson right now. Sure enough, it's Gainwell as the backup. It's not Johnson.
Yeah, if Johnson is any kind of success story, it's going to be in the second half of the season. And it's not going to be for the team that drafted him. You can't hold on. We're about to hit the bye weeks, and you just can't hold on to a guy like that, because I don't see an immediate path to playing time at all.
And there's other talented backs that aren't even playing. They're not even dressing. Jaden Blue hasn't gotten a chance to start yet, or not even start, but play yet. Same thing with Jarquez Hunter. Basically, he's been on special teams. That's it for him. Instead, we're getting the usage out of Blake Corum this year that we thought we were going to get last year. It's like, oh yeah, he can still play, it turns out. And that's a problem. So Hunter's an easy cut now, unfortunately, because he's definitely clearly third. And the guy ahead of him is now the guy that might be the talented guy that gets a better chance to play. But it's still, it's been frustrating times for all these rookie backs.
Yeah, I'll tell you somebody that very much impressed me this past week, and he was, I don't want to say he was a punchline for Chris and I necessarily, but we were, we'd been talking quite a bit about the myth making around Bhayshul Tuten, right? Because an incredible combine superhero, 4.3 speed, 40-inch vertical, all that, and he was just kind of a far off idea because he didn't seem like he had prime spot on the depth chart. He looked great last week, and he didn't just look great on the highlight touchdown where, I forget who it was, Cam Sample maybe. So like some defensive end was dropped into coverage and just had zero.
It was
chance.
painful. It was
just no chance whatsoever to lay a hand on Tuten. So he's quick. He's he cuts quickly. And he also had a couple of carries that weren't like highlight plays, but like where he moved a pile on an inside run. So if that guy's going to get 10 or 12 touches a game, and I don't think it's going to be more than that because he has a Travis Etienne problem because that guy looks good. I don't think it's going to be more than 10 touches a game, but that might be a guy that we can flex as soon as we hit the buys.
Yeah. He also has a LaQuint Allen problem that there's a third too. But yeah, Tuten looks dynamic. How many times did I hear Bucky Irving is Bhayshul Tuten? I mean, a lot.
Yeah.
They are both carbon-based forms of life that catch passes sometimes and are very fast. I don't think he gets to that level of usage just because Etienne's good. Now, Etienne gets hurt, then we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And there will be players that get their chances when the people above them get hurt. So that still is a thing that happens. I'll say one that I'm impressed with was Quinshon Judkins. In a tough situation against Baltimore, and where they're trailing, even when the game was close, it was still tough. But he played 19 snaps and had 13 touches. And he went 10 for 60 on the ground against the Ravens. I think he'll be a bell cow back sooner rather than later for the Browns.
I think that was also a good reminder that, when we hear pregame reports about a player, he's going to be, it might be 10 snaps, it might be 15 snaps, whatever. I mean, it's the NFL. And when like bullets start to fly, you're going to play as much as they feel they need you, and they're not going to be particularly disciplined about things like snap counts. And they treated him. I mean, he was getting run immediately, so they didn't treat him as if he was just going to be some rotational player who was going to make a cameo appearance, and then they were going to forget him. Like they treated him like a guy that they intend to make a centerpiece of the offense.
Agreed. I hate the matchup this week against Green Bay. I might hate this matchup more than any other running back matchup, actually. I think Green Bay is just that team defensively. The way they made the Commanders look running the ball, the way they made the Lions look, I know it's overreaction season, and I'm as guilty of that as anybody, but I think it's a bad setup this week. He might get there anyhow because he's just good enough and, he gets the volume, but I have him at 33 this week. I have most starting backs ahead of Judkins this week. I think in future weeks, I'll be a lot higher though.
Yeah, I feel roughly the same way. I especially coming off of week 2, I'm not particularly worried about where we can toss Jerome Ford on the discard pile, I think, and Sampson might be an interesting rotational player, but I think it's pretty clear that that's going to be Judkins' job. And man, he spent no time with that team in the summer.
Yeah.
None whatsoever. And they are already kind of leaning on him.
Yes. Judkins related question here. Got a couple of those. We'll hit up real quick. Vince asked Breece Hall or Judkins this week. I'm going Breece Hall.
I mean, that's Breece Hall. I like the idea of Judkins, and I think he's going to become something later in the year, but he's got the terrible matchup this week, and I know Breece Hall is great.
Yep. McBBN asked PPR, trade away Judkins and Jordan Addison to get Jalen Warren and Ricky Pearsall. This tugs at your heart here as a Pearsall guy.
It really does. Also, Warren is just one of my favorite running backs to watch.
Yeah, he's fun.
Again, if people can go back to that little dump off that he caught and gained 1 million yards on, I mean, that was just a superhero play. That was a phenomenal play that just not a lot of guys in the league make. He's got a few flourishes to his game. He'll give you an unnecessary spin move from time to time. I kind of like that. He's a very fun player. I would want the Warren and Pearsall side of this. Again, but I'm also the guy who was way above market on Pearsall, and I think he has a real chance to be like an 1,100 yard receiver this year.
One more running back related question, and then we'll hit wide receivers. Chef in ABI asked trade Derrick Henry and Drake London for Jamar Chase and Devon Achane. This is a trade of the superstars. What say you?
Yeah.
Are you discounting Chase enough because of the QB switch to make this deal?
This is really one where you'd love to know the format, because obviously if this is full PPR, I don't know how you couldn't want the Chase and Achane side of it.
Yep.
And I wasn't particularly high on Achane coming into the year. I thought the usage was weird last season. I think the usage is weird now. Even a lot of the carries that the backs get in Miami are really just passes out to the flat that happen to go backwards. He's tiny. He's a lot of things that I don't love in a featured running back, but I can't. I mean, the usage is what it is. It's going to be great all year for as long as he's healthy. So if this is full PPR, I certainly want the Chase and Achane side. If it's something less, I think I would go ahead and keep Derrick Henry.
Everything Miami does is weird. They trade away Jonnu Smith. No problem. We'll coax Darren Waller out of retirement. No problem. Problem solved. We have tight ends again. Just everything they do is weird. I mean, their lack of signing real defensive backs this offseason was, everyone said their defensive backs were terrible. They're terrible. They have 3 good defensive players. They're all pass rushers, and Chop Robinson's a little banged up right now. I don't know. I could rant forever here, but they're a weird franchise.
They really are. I mean, using Malik Washington as essentially the backup running back was wild to me. I honestly thought Ollie Gordon was going to be a thing, and thank goodness I didn't have people drafting him any higher than they did. Still
Still could be a thing. Yet another rookie running back. We haven't even mentioned him. Haven't mentioned Cam Scatterbo. We haven't mentioned Bill yet. There's so many rookie running backs this year to try to figure out where they belong.
Bill is fun because he's like half player, half meme. He's a creature of the internet, and we've already let the internet run away with it. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not, but he's Bill. He's fun.
Yeah, I'm like an old school U2 fan when it comes to Bill. I was drafting him before he was known as Bill, and then I didn't get him anytime after he had his raise in profile there. But anyways, yeah. So it's the one time I can be a trendy snob. So we'll go with it there. This podcast is brought to you by RT Sports. The NFL season is here, and the best place to play DFS Pick'em is RT Sports. Download the brand new RT Sports Pick'em app now. Receive your 100% deposit match bonus up to $100 in bonus funds with promo code WIRE100. RT Sports offers unique ways to earn bonus funds, such as every time you share your entry slip on X, you get $5 of bonus funds on RT Sports. Or if you sync your bank account, you get bonus funds. Also, RT Sports offers weekly, quote-unquote, free square options on the app with player line slash to half a yard total. Download the RT Sports Pick'em app today. Use promo code WIRE100. Get 100% deposit up to $100 in bonus funds. Thanks to RT Sports for their sponsorship. I wish California allowed for that right now. The Pick'em side of things, they do not allow for that, or basically anything else because they're California. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk wide receivers. A lot of angst right now about wide receivers getting off to slow starts. No greater, I think, than Brian Thomas Jr. And, he's back to getting the junior applied to him there. Chris was making the point, pressing me to not say junior anymore after that performance last week against the Bengals where he, bad drops, not going all the way across the middle. He's back to junior status for me. How worried are you about Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yeah, I want to say that it was just one game, but I also don't want to put it 100% on Brian Thomas. And I think people who follow me know that I'm partial to Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's a better player than the reputation within the fantasy community indicates. But they are not communicating well, and they are very clearly seeing different things. Like I don't think a lot of it is actually Trevor Lawrence being inaccurate. I think some of it is, Trevor Lawrence is throwing a back shoulder and Brian Thomas is going upfield, and Brian Thomas wants to sit down in the spot that he currently occupies, and Trevor Lawrence is leading him a little bit. Like I think a lot of that is going on. The ball that got intercepted that Thomas stopped on, he was going to get rocked. There's no question about it. It would have been a first down. Sometimes you got to take a hit, and he passed on it, and the announcers called him out right away and called it a business decision, and it kind of was. Yeah. It definitely was, but and then it led to an interception. That was bad. He also kind of turtled up a couple times on other catches, and beyond that, there was just pretty poor communication, or certainly not in sync with Trevor Lawrence. And that that maybe that gets ironed out throughout the course of the season. It's a new offense. Brian Thomas, of course, famously had his best weeks last year. He became Brian Thomas' first round pick with Mac Jones. So that's it's a legitimate concern. I think he's a great player, and he was also getting targeted in the end zone, which we love. And I'm enough of a believer in the talent that I would kick the tires, and I'd be interested in buying Brian Thomas perhaps. It was a terrible game though. I can't erase the terrible game from my memory. It was also just a weird game all around. Heck, I didn't even talk about the Brian Thomas play where he turned his head upfield before catching a ball, and it would have secured the whole game. Really, really tough game from him. But I want to just kind of crumple it up and throw it in the trash and believe in the opportunities that he's going to get, and believe in what I saw last year.
I'm with you on that. I want to be proactive and try to trade for him. I'm getting people trying to do the same to me right now, and in dynasty leagues, no less. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to be doing that. I sought him for a reason there, but it's definitely a thing that, it's got some cause for worry. And they're right. He had most of his best games with Mac Jones. That is definitely true. And that is kind of scary a little bit there. Let's talk a little Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin. Deebo's been the more productive receiver the first 2 weeks of the season. It hasn't really been close. They tried to get McLaurin a little bit more involved against Green Bay. Obviously he missed a lot of time in training camp, but Deebo is a big part of this offense. And now with Eckler out, I think Deebo takes on even more of those type of roles. How high are you on him this week and going for the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point about the Eckler injury too. And it probably hasn't been discussed enough as we try to think about what that backfield is going to look like. It's not going to be 100% Bill, right? It's going to be largely Bill, but it's also going to be some McNichols, and Rodriguez is clearly going to be active finally. And they've got Deebo sitting there, who's like a hybrid running back, receiver, whatever he is, multi-tool. And man, he was getting some buzz in the summer if you wanted to listen to it. Beat writers were talking about it, and people around the team were talking about it, but he's also like the level of veteran where we don't really hype him up. Like if a rookie is getting similar buzz from the beat writers and they're talking about him every day, we oh my gosh, we talk about it all the time. This guy's going to be a star. When it's someone like Deebo Samuel and everybody's saying, oh, he looks like the good Deebo Samuel again, the guy that had like the one big year that produced 30% of his career stats. He looks like that guy. I don't know. I feel like it didn't get enough attention. And sure enough, first couple of weeks, he looks really good. I have some of him because he was much easier to pair with Jaden Daniels than McLaurin was. Yeah. I will also say that I think McLaurin's been very close on a couple of, there was a shot play in week 1, which if it hits, we're not even talking about Terry McLaurin. We're feeling fine about Terry McLaurin. So yeah, I think the opportunities are going to be there for him. And once Daniels gets back, we're going to feel really good about him.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I agree. And I do have McLaurin over Deebo still, but I was kind of thinking about that over a little bit more. I was like, maybe I should be a little closer between the two a little bit there.
It's a really good point about the contributions that he might have in the run game. And yeah, I worry that I didn't factor that in enough into my rank. Like I might come in with Deebo a little bit higher because I'm a big believer in what we've seen from him so far.
And factor in that maybe Jaden doesn't run as much even when he does play again. Mm-hmm. That also might be more Deebo time. He gets those runs instead of like exposing Daniels as much. I don't know. I think my thing is not to drop Terry, it's to raise Deebo. And I think that's probably what I'm going to do in my next update there. Calvin Ridley was a helium guy in drafts. He was the one boring veteran that did get a lot of love. I saw him starting off in round 7 in drafts. Usually by the time we were done, he was going late round 4, early round 5. It's been kind of a slog so far. He's had some drops. He played Denver and the Rams. Those are 2 tough opponents. So that has something to do with it there, but we haven't gotten what we'd hoped for so far. Where are you on him now?
I'd be a buyer on Calvin Ridley because he has had a couple of very difficult individual matchups. I know the box score numbers have not looked great for Cam Ward, and I do think that Cam Ward's willingness to take sacks is going to be a problem, and I think time in pocket is going to be a problem. All that. Cam Ward has also put the ball on the hands of his receivers a lot, and it hasn't amounted to anything. It's not just Ridley's got drops. We've got situations where guys are not quite getting 2 feet in bounds. Chig has at least one huge drop in week 1. Like they've been really close, and I think Cam Ward. One of the worst passes Cam Ward has thrown all year became the touchdown last week. Like, that was the dumbest thing.
Horrible decision, but it worked.
It's the dumbest thing I've seen him do, and it worked out spectacularly, and it became a highlight. But like his play-to-play throws, in my view, are perfectly fine. So I think as that team begins to play defenses that aren't quite as daunting, we're going to get a good season from Calvin Ridley. I also think that they want to protect Cam Ward to a certain extent. So it's not going to surprise me if we don't get a lot of 30 pass attempt games out of him, which limits everybody's ceiling. It's why I'm not really writing up anybody from this team as a fantasy ad necessarily, because I just don't think there's going to be great volume there, but I do think it'll come around to Ridley.
Yeah. Iron Manor is interesting. It's just like you said, it's a question of volume there a little bit there. I agree. I was going to say one. Oh, so the other thing, I know we were talking mostly Ridley here, but this is also a Cam Ward comment, is my big concern with him is taking too many sacks. It's not just the offense line, although it is also the offense line. They're missing Latham, the right tackle, last week. But the Denver game, he took 2 really inexcusable sacks after the Marvin Mims muffed punt. Got to find a way to get rid of the ball or minimize the damage. They lost like 25 yards in 2 plays, got themselves out of field goal range. Even for altitude, they couldn't do it. It was like all the way back at the 50 after, being in a chance there where they get to go ahead. It's late in the 3rd quarter, and they just blew it there. It might have even been early 4th quarter. It was a scary game. I had Denver in Survivor, so I was sweating that big time there. I'm like, oh, thank you for doing that. Thank you for being a rookie in your first game against a really tough defense.
It was a weirdly winnable game for Tennessee.
Yes, it was.
That didn't seem like it was doing a whole lot that was terribly exciting. It was a very winnable game, and you're so right. Like that's the exact scenario where you absolutely positively cannot lose yardage. You can't take a sack, and he's still. I mean, this is the thing that people who do like the rookie scouting were warning us about. Man, he's hunting for big plays. And you've got to unlearn some of that stuff because they don't come as often in the NFL, and you can't hang back there forever thinking you're going to avoid everybody.
Exactly right. By the way, they were also beating the Rams. They went ahead of the Rams with 3:30 left in the 3rd quarter, 16-13. And so this was not a blowout game, even though the final score may look like it was 33-19. That was definitely it was a game in question. They had the fumble, that was a bad play there too. That gave the Rams basically the ball on the 2-yard line. All of a sudden, that turned into a 2-score game real fast. But this was definitely they were in play in both these games. I think they're going to give the Colts a lot to handle this weekend there.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
I like that call. Their defense has been kind of frisky too.
It is. I like their coordinator a lot. I think he does some good stuff, especially with some non-brand name players other than Jeffrey Simmons. So I think they're a little dangerous still. We're brought to you by Chalkboard. Cash in your NFL picks this season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less on your favorite player stats to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players get $20 free with no deposit required. Yes, you heard that right. $20 free just on sign up. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect slip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today is your chance to win up to $40,000 on a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines. Get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports. Now available in 30 plus states. Download Chalkboard today and use promo code ROTONFL. That's ROTONFL to get $20 free with no deposit required. Thank you to Chalkboard. We're also on the Blue Wire Network. Here are their ads. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for that indulgence. I'm here with Andy Behrens from the Deep Shot. Andy, we got tight ends to talk about here. A couple of them of note. I want to talk a little Juwan Johnson. Is he for real? Can we get like around 9 to 10 targets every week?
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
He didn't even play a good game last week. He had a couple of I don't know.
Drops.
I never know what gets classified as a drop. The things that I expect to get classified as drops rarely do, but he had a couple balls that he should have caught and did not. And then he had that miracle touchdown where like he got the shin in and kind of scraped up against the goal. It was great. It's been fine. I don't fully trust that we're going to get 10 targets a week. I don't fully trust Spencer Rattler. I don't totally trust a supporting receiver theoretically in the Saints offense tied to Spencer Rattler. And yet I don't know that he's come off the field. He's played close to 100% of the snaps on the season. That's good. He's always running a route because he's, a little bit of a fake tight end. So this is probably going to work out. I don't mean that it's going to work out in like a top 5 tight end sort of way, but if all he's ever going to do is run routes and it's him and Olave and Shaheed and they're playing from behind, like that is a recipe for a top 8, certainly top 10 positional finish at what has turned into a dreadful position. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be this way, and I kind of came in thinking, I like the same way at quarterback. I like the depth here. If I don't get one of the big 3, it's fine. I like all these guys later on, and it turned out there were a couple of right answers, but there weren't that many right answers, and there certainly are not 10 good tight ends to go around.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I mean, we had some pickups last week. Fannin was a big target for people as well, and again, speaking of targets, he had about the same amount as Njoku. I mean, and I think Njoku could get traded at the trade deadline because I think Cleveland is where they are supposed to be. They're playing well. They're not a doormat, but they're still a losing team. And I thought
Fannin's week 1 was, and I thought he was fine last week too. I thought his week 1 was a true revelation.
I agree.
I mean, we're putting that guy in the backfield. He's a lead blocker. He's in line. He's in the slot. He's out wide. He's taking direct snaps. He made a tackle after an interception. Like that guy did all the things. He hasn't thrown a pass yet, but he's probably going to throw a pass. Yep. I was wowed by him. He's kind of getting, in a way, similar usage to Tyler Warren, just in a very different offensive environment. I'm extremely impressed by Fannin, and I'm sure there are big weeks ahead.
Yeah, I think so too. I like the way, like you said, they're devising ways to get him involved. And that was his game in the MAC too. He's that hard to classify, quote unquote, weird body guy. He just does things differently. And hey, I like that. Give me the unicorns there. Colston Loveland, on the other hand, you're a Bears guy. The usage is disappointing there, to say the least. Not the most disappointing thing about the Bears season. I won't belabor that point, but sorry.
But I hate to come off a game where you give up 52 points and like that's been, I don't need to hear the national conversation about Caleb Williams when we just gave up 52 points and committed 8 more penalties. Like spare me. And obviously Colston Loveland is not the biggest worry when you've just given up 52 points and you have a banged up defense, but it's a concern.
Yeah, it is. And then you see like Warren and Fannin getting all these targets, all this usage. Like that could be me. It's just like, yeah.
This is something Chris and I were just talking about, though. We can't, I don't want to be the guy who just assumes that NFL coaches have it wrong. It is frustrating to see that most of the routes it feels like Colston Loveland is running are clear out situations. They're not intended for him. He's not the primary target on very many. But man, that stuff is earned, and clearly the coaching staff doesn't think he's ready for more than what he's getting right now. So I don't want to just say, oh, you've failed the player. I mean, maybe they're failing the player, but they see him every day. He was extremely buzzy during camp. And I don't know how much of this penetrates the national coverage, but because everybody was really talking about Rome Odunze, but there were two other guys that they popped up in the camp reports every day. Colston Loveland was a daily touchdown in camp, and Olamide Zaccheaus was a daily touchdown in camp, but he's a veteran, so we don't talk about him. And so far, Odunze is the only one who's really popped. I honestly, Caleb's, I was just looking at this. Caleb's passer rating when targeting Odunze is 130.2, and it's 89 overall. So there's one thing that's working in this offense, and it is a pass to Rome Odunze.
Yeah, as a DJ Moore shareholder in many places, this is frustrating, but I still think there's some decent times ahead, and I absolutely target Loveland in dynasty leagues. This is a good time to go ahead and go about doing that there. Last guy I'll bring up, Evan Engram. Not been fun so far. I know he's been banged up too, which unfortunately is part of the story that comes with him, though.
Yeah, banged up, and also not. He's just not a primary receiver in this offense. And we heard a little bit of talk throughout the summer about how the kind of role that Franklin was going to have. Yeah, he's going to have the Joker role. But we also heard some hype for Franklin, and that has been real. He was a first read target several times, and then when that one big play, that field flipping play, when Bo Nix was scrambling and found him deep downfield, if he's the guy, I think about that with Kaleb and Rome. Kaleb is looking for Rome when he scrambles, and if Bo Nix is looking downfield for the old college teammate when he scrambles, that's a big thing. On top of the fact that now all of a sudden he's playing 70% of the snaps, they're designing stuff for him. That's going to be pretty serious competition for Evan Engram, because he could survive Marvin Mims because he's a weird player, and Cortland Sutton was always going to get his, but the emergence of Franklin might be one guy too many.
Yeah, it might be, and I only have I got Juwan Johnson in one of my Engram leagues, so I'm actually starting Johnson over him, Johnson over Mark Andrews right now. There's a couple of guys that it's just here we go again. I just don't want to do that anymore. The Andrews either. I'm sure there'll be better times ahead at some point in time, but just frustrating right now.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I don't think I can touch Andrews right now. That's not a burden I have. I didn't end up with I'm not saying that I made a bunch of great decisions at tight end, but Mark Andrews is not currently one of my fantasy problems. Yeah. But the volume has just been so low too. And I don't want to get into you hate to be in a spot where it's TD or nothing, right? Because that's the situation with Andrews. It's great when he gets targeted in the end zone, but if it's one of his only two targets, that is a huge ongoing problem. You
have selected AJ Barner when you get that sort of usage there. I mean, and that's the thing. You don't need to do that. There's 17 other tight ends like that. So yeah, definitely don't want to be there for that there. All right, Andy, thedeepshot.com. Tell everybody what they can find when they go there.
Yeah, you're going to find all of my stuff. You're going to find all of Dalton Del Don's content. We've got a few goodies in there that were unlike anything you've probably seen us do before. So it's been a blast, and I'm also collaborating with Chris Harris on the Yacht Club podcast. So that has been a joy as well. Really appreciate you teeing me up like that. By the way,
of course. What are friends for? And hey, guys, do check it out. Andy's doing great work. Dalton's doing great work. Chris does great work, and that's the thing about this industry. We help each other. We like each other. So we keep doing that there. So there's plenty of pie to grow. So we'll keep growing that pie. That's going to wrap up. Now he said pie, and now I'm hungry. So we'll go there. Thanks everybody for chiming in on the live stream and listening to the podcast. We really appreciate you. We'll be back again tomorrow with Mario and John. We got a number of other videos here on this channel. So please lock it in for that. If you didn't get your question answered, check out our rankings where they can answer a lot of your questions there. Promo code YouTube15 over at RotoWire. Deep Shot has their rankings. You can check that out as well. Thanks for listening, everybody. Take care.